is late September, and we're up super early, around 5 o'clock to start planning our Scotland trip. We're so excited. We're normally not up early this morning to start planning, but we have a lot of obligations this weekend and we need to go ahead and get this done because it is late September and we're looking to travel the first week or so of November. What I wanted to do is kind of go through kind of how we start planning for trips. So we've been to Scotland a couple of times. So we've had a lot of everything that we needed to kind of start planning for a trip here already. But again, one of the things that we sort of talk about is our trusty Rick Steves book. We have a lot of Rick Steves books, and one of the ones that we have is Scotland. So we'll be using this morning to kind of refer to things, places to stay at if we want to, or places to see. This to me is my Bible, and I always get a Rick Steves book practically everywhere that we go. You can get the Kindle version. Sometimes I just like the paper so I can bend and fold and everything else. So Rick Steves is one of the first things that I'm going to have this morning. The other book that I have is DK Eyewitness Travel. I kind of like these books. They're a little bit more pricey, but I do like them because I just like the pictures in them, and I like kind of the breakdown of stuff. And for me, it augments Rick Steves a little bit. So I'll be using this morning as well. But again, if you were to pick one travel guide, I would actually go with Rick Steves. That's my favorite. The other thing that I typically have is a map of the country that I'm in. If possible, you can always put this on your Kindle or your iPad or everything else, but sometimes I do like a map. I usually have a Michelin map, and I think I have one of Scotland, except it's 5 in the morning and I can't seem to find it. But I also have another map of Scotland that just kind of helps us map out as we're trying to do our journey. And then where we're going to be going today is this. So I have my iPad here. I will start looking at VRBOs. There's a lot of conversations, and I know like Rick Steves has a lot of blogs on it. Do you stay at hotels, bed and breakfasts, or do you stay at an Airbnb and VRBOs? I still typically lean toward VRBOs or Airbnbs. One, I think it's a little bit cheaper. Two, especially like in Scotland and England and some of these other places, you have to pay for breakfast in the morning, and it's pretty pricey. So I rather just be able to cook our own breakfast in the morning or grab a snack and head on out. I also like having just go into the local grocery store. One, again, living like locals, but also two, just going to the local grocery store and picking up some things. So we're not always out and about, having to eat out all the time, because that does get pricey. And then the other thing that we can do too is if we can keep our lodging down to a certain degree, that gives us more, money to budget to other things as well. One of the VRBOs that we're looking at in Edinburgh, which I hope we get, we stayed there before, is a little bit more pricey. So we may end up, okay, we'll spend more in Edinburgh, but we may spend less. We're looking at Pitlochry, which is in one of our other places. We may spend less there, and that way it can kind of even out the budget. With VRBO, what I do like about it is you can create boards, and you can share, you can heart things that you like, and then you can share them. So Todd and I this morning will be sharing our boards across as we're looking at places to stay. All right, so now that we kind of have all of our tools ready to go, the Rick Steves book, we got our Eyewitness book, we got the VRBO ready to go, Todd's gonna start looking at flights. One of the first things that I do before we really start digging into a country is I look at the exchange rate. In this case, it's the British pound. The good news is it's pretty close to the dollar. I think, for every $1, we're going to get 90 cents in the British pound. So in essence, what I'm going to end up doing is adding 10% to everything. So that's probably the most critical thing, because that can trip you up if you don't pay attention to that. So now I got the exchange rate, we're going to start working on this, and we'll let you know how it ends up and how we book. Stay tuned. All right, so we are officially booked for Scotland. We decided to go for 12 nights, and actually we're getting back the Monday before Thanksgiving. We thought about extending our trip past Thanksgiving and coming in that weekend after Thanksgiving, but problem is the flights and everything just really got sort of almost double the prices and everything else, and we decided we really wanted to be back here with our family for Thanksgiving. So what is our itinerary? So what we're going to do is We're going to be flying into Edinburgh, and the reason why we're flying into there is we were trying to fly into Inverness and go to Isle of Skye first, but the flights were just too hard to get to, and we would have to take a train and everything else. So we're going to be flying into Edinburgh, and then we're going to be staying in a little town right outside of Edinburgh called Pitlochry. It's about an hour and a half away from there. It's one of my favorite towns. I can't wait for you guys to see it. We'll be there for 5 nights. Then we're going to be driving up to the Isle of Skye and staying at a great hotel up there, and we're going to be up there for 3 nights. And then we're going to head back to Edinburgh and be there for 4 nights at a great VRBO that we've stayed in before. So it was super nice to just rebook that. So we're doing VRBOs for Pitlochry, we're doing VRBOs for Edinburgh. We decided to do hotel for Isle of Skye because it just seemed like in November and things are a little bit shut down up there that the hotel would be a good place because it has a bar and a restaurant in there. We will be renting a car for the trip up until we get back to Edinburgh, and then for those last 4 nights we won't have the car because it's just easier to, the city's walkable, so it'll save us on the car rental there. So we're super excited. We can't wait to get on the trip and everything else, and you guys will get to share our adventures.